Hey, welcome to the Lifestyle Creation Podcast, designing life on your terms. I'm your host, Jamie Thurber, and I'm an expert operations manager, productivity queen, mindset, business, and lifestyle coach. Basically, getting shit done is my jam. And I believe in the power of intentional living and in real conversations that can shift your perspective, create habits, and ultimately achieve the freedom that you want in every area of your life. Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast. This is Jamie, your host here at the Lifestyle Creation Podcast. Oh boy, you guys, so much has happened since the last time that I recorded for you, and in such a small period of time. I cannot wait to fully integrate all of the stuff that I've learned here over the past 2 weeks. I went to like full-blown boot camp basically to expand and extend some of my own knowledge and learn new and just really increase my ability in a way that I always knew was fully possible, but I had a hard time learning or finding outside from outside sources, meaning like a lot of people, talk about everything I just said, but they want to teach that to you in a way where it's more things to do, right? Like more to do. Let's add more to our list. We need to do more of this. And if you want more in life, then you need to do more. When that's not really always the fucking case. And I wish I would have known this sooner in my life and in my career, but doing more really isn't always the case. Something that I realized was all that was being said by any leader or coach that I went to as far as learning to grow the business more and things like that. It was really the baseline of a lot of things. And it was a couple of years ago that I was like, this doesn't feel good to me. Like, this doesn't make sense. And so I started down my own little path of figuring out other ways. There was, lots of different avenues and things like that. And then just recently, attending this event that I went to really brought all of that together for me in a really big way. And one of the things I wanted to just share with you, it's probably going to be a quick one here, but we'll see. Sometimes I say it's going to be a quick one and it's not, but we'll find out, was I wanted to talk to you about limits, or shall I say like limitations that we place on ourselves. And I want to explain though that a lot of the limitations that we place on ourselves don't necessarily feel like that's what we're doing in the moments or in the time that it's happening. They also don't typically, we don't label them as a limitation, right? Like they're coming from a place of the stories that we believe, the stories that whether, they've been placed on us, or stories that our mind has created in order to keep us safe or in order to keep us what we think is moving forward or whatever it might be. There's a lot of avenues there that become solid or the rules or the way per se that really are limitations and are really things that keep us stuck in a space that may not be authentic or may not really feel like us or may not feel in alignment. And here's the deal too, it's like when you're on a journey, as I like to refer to it as, of figuring out all of these things about life and really doing life on your terms, things can change fairly quickly as far as what feels good and what fits and what's in alignment. Some of that stuff can shift and we have to let it do that, right? Like, I don't mean we're wishy-washy all over the place, with my belief systems. Like, that's not it. Or I'm going to try a new thing every day, that, new methodology every day. Like, that's not it either. I just mean that, as we shift and our alignments shift, we have to be open to allowing that to actually happen, right? I feel like a lot of times we do this thing where we're trying to grow, but in the meantime, we're trying to quote unquote grow, but also we're trying to stay. Do you see what I mean? I don't even know that I can offer any more explanation to that, because either you grasp what I just said and it like hit you inside, or it didn't. It's like we try to put all this emphasis on growth, but then there's this other huge piece of us that's trying to stay. And there's so many reasons for that, more reasons than I can cover in a podcast episode. But when that happens, we create these stories for ourselves, like we're not doing enough and there's no way, and maybe I need to do more, and how can I do more, and how can I become so efficient with my time that I can do more, because I need more, so I need this growth, but then I have this other piece that I'm trying to stay and I don't know how, and it becomes this like contradiction inside of us that feels a bit like a battle. One of the things that makes me cringe more than most is when people are like, every day is a battle, or wage war, life's a war. And it's like, bro, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in going to war every day. I will if I have to, but that is not my plan. And if all you're doing is walk around looking for war, guess what you're going to find? You're going to find war. You're going to find battles. You're going to find those things where, sure, just because you can wield the sword really fucking well doesn't mean that you have to walk around slaying people all day long. Like, it's not my ideal of fun or my idea of, of what I want to be doing with all of my time, right? So sometimes these stories and these create limitations inside of us of what we actually are working to create in the first place, right? And so we can be learning and trying to grow, but then we have this space of like, but I have to do it this way, and it requires more work. And what I've learned is that started to like really piss me off, but it also started to really cause me to freeze dead in my tracks. It's like I was walking through muck when that was the case, right? Of like, okay, but I know this doesn't fit. Like, I'm doing more than fucking anybody I know. I don't need to be doing more, right? And that wasn't because I have trust me, I have a pretty good peer group of people. It's not that I'm like just surrounding myself with people who are half-assing things. So that's why I feel like I'm doing more. Like, that's not it. It's just this belief though in my head that more was what was necessary. And so it created this limitation for me, which again, see, this all sounds counterintuitive, but this is what happens inside of our heads, inside of our subconscious, inside of our habits. When we do this, it's like this little sneaky limit comes into practice that we don't even realize is there until we have these kinds of conversations we're having right now and realize, oh shit, that belief actually is limiting me. Or that rule or that desire to constantly be looking for more. A lot of times when somebody's constantly trying to do more, they end up avoiding the things that actually need to be done, or the things that actually need their attention, or they may be sitting on top of a fucking gold mine of shit they should be selling right now versus trying to make more and more and be more and do more, right? And so it's very difficult. It's this interesting concept that we don't recognize is happening. And so the reason that this conversation came to fruition for me to talk to you about today is that I wanted to explain something. So due to the limitations that I believe that my body places on me, that I would believe, and now granted, some of them are very scientific and very factual, so I'm not taking away from that. Again, this is still really integrating, so I'm not going to go into great detail about some of it, but there's limitations that I would place on myself so that I would not be sick. And that would be that, I must have this amount of sleep. I must drink this amount of water. If I don't, then I need to go sit here. I cannot work this many hours at a computer. I cannot do this much physical activity. All of these cannots, right? Or shoulds, like I should do this. I should go sit here. I should eat this way. I should blah, 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 in order to feel better. It's kind of like this limitation or this rule that we place on ourselves, like, oh, I need more energy, so that means I need to drink more caffeine, right? Even though like logically you may know that that's absolutely the exact opposite of the case and that's not going to serve you, there's just still this weird thing that you believe. And so there's a surface level belief there that you go grab more coffee or an energy drink or whatever, when in the long run, if you were to actually pay attention, or maybe you already have and that's actually not the answer. It really doesn't make you feel more energized in the moments, and it's not sustainable, right? And so in this, back to what I was going to share though, is that like in this moment, what I realized was, I had gotten myself to a pretty beautiful place where I work a lot, I guess you could say, maybe. I don't really even know. Like I said, I've recorded a whole other thing. I think somewhere there's a video on YouTube about like how many hours you work in a day. And I'm like, if that's the fucking question you're asking, then like you're asking the wrong question of somebody that owns their own business or that does their own brand like I do. Like if you're asking them how many hours you work each day, like it's the wrong fucking question, because I don't even know. Like I don't measure that, right? But I do know that I had placed limitations on myself about how much output I needed to be putting and how much input I needed to be taking in, how much time at a desk I needed to be doing, that kind of thing, how much talking to other humans, because I would feel exhausted and all this different stuff. I had placed these limitations on myself of what my body and mind were physically and mentally capable of doing. And it's funny because then 6 days of working directly in Date with Destiny, directly under all of the workings of Tony Robbins, with him live every day, and his entire, like the method to the man's madness on how he runs his own life, the limitations that I believed were limitations are laughable at this point. Like the things that I was able to do during that time, but also have been able to do since, are really quite honestly blowing my fucking mind. Like, I could be 13, 14 hours into a training. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning with no breaks all day long, and I'm still energized, and I've had no caffeine. Like, literally no fucking caffeine, you guys. Like, I've just kept good nutritious snacks. I've been drinking the shit out of water, and then we get up and move, and we do this natural energy building thing within our bodies every hour, or even more than that. And sometimes it takes 10 to 30 seconds only in order to completely shift the physiology within our system. And really, those limits don't exist anymore as a result. Now it's not even that it's the limits that I place on myself, it's that things that I'm choosing. I'm like, okay, I choose to be done now. And that's cool. If there was more to be done, or I felt excited, or I wanted or desired to do more, or there was more I needed to do, then I would do it, because I physically, mentally, emotionally know that I can at this point, and I know the tools, and I have the tools to keep all three things aligned and moving forward into what I'm doing, and empowering it and keeping me fueled to do so. And it's pretty fucking awesome. And so something I just really wanted, I'm not going to go into super detail. If you guys want me to, please send me an email. The email address is below. Some of you probably know it by heart from listening here. It's just me, at jamiethurber.com. If you have more questions about this, or you'd like me to go into more detail about these things, shoot me a message, and I will absolutely record podcasts just about, whatever it is. But I really just wanted to leave you with a little thought there on the things that are quote unquote rules inside of your world, rules that you've made for yourself. And don't get me wrong, those rules, like my own rules, were created at one point or another to keep me safe and to feel really, really good. And I'm grateful for that, right? But on the other end, I'm at a place now where those limits and those rules no longer have to be what's dictating what I'm doing and what's not. I don't need them anymore. I'm stable enough. I have a foundation that's prepared. I have all of this belief and all of this knowledge and all of this follow through and like gumption and muscle and all of this built in order to make every day exactly whatever I want it to be, fully, without the limitations and rules that I placed on my fucking self. The world will place limits on us all day long. I've discussed this with you a ton of times, but right now I'm wanting you to kind of take this message, go out into your world, and start to think about when you catch yourself in these hard and fast rules that you have for yourself. Think about where they really come from, and do they really serve you anymore? And start to maybe deconstruct some of those for yourself. You'll be surprised. As always, thank you so much for listening here. If you have not already left us a review over on iTunes, we greatly appreciate it. This podcast is 100% produced and funded by me and my team. And so any support in that way of sharing and getting this in front of more people definitely helps us. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you in that way. We did just recently release something unlike I've ever released before. If you've been looking for some way to learn a little bit more from me in a smaller, more simple capacity, that's not a group coaching situation, it's not a membership, we have released something called The Secrets of Superhuman Productivity. It is a remake of one of my original best practices that I created, and we've remade it and we've turned it into a more interactive process for you, but it is self-led. It is very simple. It is a guide and things that you can put into practice into your life right now if you're interested. We'll put the link below here in the notes. If you're interested in that, it is only $22 and you get instant access to that. And it's a great way to kind of get to working with me on your own terms without, if you're not interested in coaching and those things. It's a nice little thing jam-packed with tools that you can put in your toolbox that you can start using right away. If you have any questions, as always, let us know. Thanks for being here. Love you so much. And until next time, guys, have an amazing day. Go out in the world and do good things.